Hello, my name is David Dyer, and welcome to DyerTimes. This is part 2 of my 3-part video series on 37mm reloading. During this video, I'm actually going to show you how to assemble the rounds once you've got your smoke mix mixed up and ready to go. So, join me over at the workbench and we'll get to it. When it comes to 37mm reloading, the place to go is American Specialty Ammo. This is their smoke bomb projectile builder kit, which comes with everything you need to make about 10 rounds. In this kit, you've got 10 tubes which are pre-fused with a plastic resin that will separate your lift charge with your payload, a small disc to help tamp down your smoke mix, and a cap to seal it all into place with enough rubber bands to keep your hulls attached. The tools you'll need for loading are pretty simple. A pair of hose cutters, a powder measure, a wooden dowel rod about 1/4 inch, maybe a little thicker, a small drill with about a 1/4 inch drill bit, and a hot glue gun. Okay, we finally made it to the workbench. We've got our freshly mixed stuff. We've got a nice clean work surface. I've got some parchment paper, wax paper laying here, and just a regular sheet of paper here to catch any of the excess. Basically, to start loading, you grab a round. You'll notice I painted them green. Just something I like to do. Whatever the color of smoke that I'm using, that's the color I paint the tube. These, you'll notice is blue. This is a previously fired one, but I recover the parts after I shoot them. So basically, simply, we just got to fill the tube. So to do that, we have our mix. Make sure you have your mask on. And I usually just kind of very gently push the mix in. Now people do a lot of different things here. I've seen people use funnels, stuff like that. I've seen people pre-measure the mix. It all works. But this just seems to work best for me. It's going to be a mess no matter what you do. That's just something you have to remember. But I can kind of force this in and pack it fairly tight just from my fingers. Now, a lot of people, say, well, is there a pre-measurement here? Is there, something, an amount that I need to worry about? And not really. Pack it till it's full. If you were dealing with smoke rounds larger than this, you'd have an ash problem building up, and the smoke would actually dilute. And you'll notice is when we fire them out in the range that the smoke will actually turn a gray or a lighter color because it's basically filtering that smoke through the ash. I just have a regular old dowel rod here. Give it a quick tap. You can condense that powder pretty solid. You'll notice down here I have my excess. I can very gently pick this up and put it right back into my pile. That way I'm wasting nothing. As for the rest of this, you can kind of see when you hammer it in there, it'll build up a little bit. I like to run a ring around and clean all that off. That way the hot glue sticks better. We have our part that came in our kit, and all this basically does is kind of acts as a buffer, allows you to push down. You'll see that there's really no give to that. Loaded that round fairly quickly. There's not an exact science to this, but you want to leave enough room to push down here, and then you'll see there's a lip here for that to go in there. I don't necessarily always pack them completely tight, but I like to put plenty of hot glue in here. You'll also notice, and set this over to the side here, some of it fell out there. You also notice that sometimes in the molding, around here, around the lip, you might need to sand down or take a blade or something. It's really easy to do because it's just plastic resin. Run this around, clean that edge up a little bit. Alright, if I didn't spill all my stuff out here. Hot glue gun is ready. Basically, once you get it all cleaned off around the edge, like I said, you just want to make sure that there's not a lot of powder, or not powder, but not a lot of mix here around the wall, because if it is, the hot glue won't stick as well. So, got a big thing of hot glue. Basically going to fill it. I don't like to put the hot tip on the mix or really let the hot glue touch the sides. You can see I kind of fill it almost full there, and then I'll just run a quick ring around the edge. You see it just fills the space, not completely, because I want to leave a little bit of room for my plug. It's just a matter of seating that down in there just like that. Shove down on it nice and hard. And there you go. Now you can get a paper towel and just wipe the excess powder off the end here, but this cartridge is loaded. Now we have to give a space for the powder to actually, the smoke to actually escape from the cartridge. If you fire it like this, it's just going to pop out the end, or it may catch fire, it may do nothing, because there's not really a lot of oxygen between here and here with that cap on there. So we're going to take our drill that I said you needed earlier, if I don't knock everything over here in the process, with our 1/4 inch bit, and we're going to drill on either side of this fuse here. The plastic resin, you'll be surprised how thick it is. Now you'll notice I didn't go all the way. This is kind of a trick I learned throughout this process. That's just, you can see kind of how deep that hole is. That's just about to break through, but you see all this extra stuff down here. I don't want my smoke mix to come out, so I'm going to drill the other hole before I break through on the other side. I'm going to do the same thing here. You can kind of feel when you're getting close, but that way I can turn this upside down like that and do that. Now I've got both of them just like that. I'm going to come in here and go ahead and break through, and you can kind of hear it. Do the same thing on the other side. You don't want to pull it out too quick, because a lot of your smoke mix will come with it. When you get into a situation like this, you don't want to turn the round up, otherwise your smoke mix will come out. And you can see there's a little bit in there, but for the most part you can kind of knock it around like this, and most of that will go back down in there. Now the best part, or the best thing you can do here, get a little piece of cotton. Actually, that piece is a little too big, and just you know, shove it down in here. Now this is you don't have to do this, but it keeps everything in place like it should. And this of course will come right out when because you don't want to pack it tight. You see it's just in there enough I can turn it up on edge, no problem. Now we'll clear our mess. That's what our piece of paper is for. Throw that in the garbage. We're on a clean slate. So we have that. Now there's one more step to this process. This is very simply foil tape. You can get this pretty much anywhere. It's just a metallic tape. I cut it in a strip already. Take my scissors here and cut another piece about this big. And then the goal here, and this is a little tricky to do with gloves on, the goal is to get it directly over top of that hole. And then when you do, just kind of tamp it down a little bit so it seals up over that hole. Of course, you want to get both of them. Sometimes I find it helps if you get something sharp or pointy down in there, just to give your gloved hand some help. It gets tricky. Also, sometimes if you get a lot of loose powder down in here, these won't stick at all. If you find that happening, take a damp cloth, just a damp cloth, because you don't want to get your mix wet or introduce any moisture into this, or even get your fuse wet. See how those fall right there into place. The last thing we'll do requires those hose cutters I was telling you about earlier, and the fuse here. You can see it's sticking up quite a bit. We are going to cut it at an angle as far as we can get those in there. So you can tell I'm cutting it there at an angle. Cuts it right off. Now you'll see what I'm talking about with that angle right there. Now The reason we do that is because it ignites much easier at an angle. You can see how much exposed fuse surface. Now the reason we don't do all that early and at once is because we're fooling around here drilling those holes. We don't want to break that over or mess that up. Now of course we can set that over to the side for just a moment. Grab one of our shell holes. You'll notice this is a fresh one. I cleaned. That Duracoat's not holding up well and when that powder goes off in there. We need a shell, we need a little bit of toilet paper, and we need a primer. These are 209 shotgun primers. You can get these anywhere. You can also get them in American Specialty Ammo for $5 for 100, which basically is what you're looking at. You want to be careful with these. You don't want to force them because these are explosives and they will hurt you if you're not careful. So we're going to fold this toilet paper in half. Lay it on the bottom of the shell, and with gentle pressure and the thumb, pop that primer right in there and just tear away the excess. Now I usually go back and very gently pick all that away so it doesn't look like that, but that's how you seat that in there, and that's how it stays in place, and you can see it in place there. Next we're going to take 40 grains of pre-measured powder. This is GoX Triple F. You want to make sure you're using Triple F. I've heard arguments between Pyrex and GoX. I really haven't noticed much difference. So, you know, try them both, see what you think. But this is actually GoX powder. We're going to add that 40 grains. Do not exceed 50 grains when you do this. So you have your powder mix down in there. Those rubber bands I was telling you about earlier, I'm going to seat that right here on the lip. You can kind of see down low just a little bit. Now, don't turn your shell over and dump your powder out. And then the trick here is you want to put one finger over that primer. If you don't, when you force your tube in here, it's going to push that primer out and all your powder is going to fall out. It's kind of embarrassing to do. We'll just turn that up right like this, and you'll hear the air. Not sure if you could hear it there on tape, but basically you just want to put that in there till it's seated all the way. That powder bushing is right there, and this is a blank one. You'll notice we're right there on top where we should be. Now you don't have to measure out every one. You shove it in until it's done. That is a completed 37mm smoke round for green smoke. It's just that easy. I'm going to load a few more up here before we go, and I'll see you on the range.